back again with another video. Hope you're doing well. Hope your life's going well. Hope this week has gone well for you, and hope that today has gone well for you. Today is Wednesday, March the 19th, 2025. It's about 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, and I hope that you're all having a wonderful evening. And I hope it's been a productive and non-stressful Wednesday for you. In this video, I want to give my view on fish, right? Do I think that it's healthy to eat fish, right? This was a video that someone asked me to make in the comments, and so this is going to be the video that answers that question. I know some people were wondering, why did I take the last video down about veganism being seen as not masculine or feminine or whatever. And I just was thinking about it, and I'm like, why am I giving something so ridiculous my attention, right? Like this very idea that, and I'm sorry if you can hear like noise in the background, like I live in an apartment, oh well, right? And it's like, why am I giving something so ridiculous my attention, right? And I just thought about it, and so I was like, this is ridiculous. And I just took the video down, and I took down the community post as well. And so that's the reason why. And and also too, there was people coming on trolling and just saying whatever, and so it was just like, okay, this is silly. So I'm just gonna take it down. But anyway, fish, strictly from a dietary perspective, I'll say this: if I was to ever go back to eating some kind of meat, right, or some kind of animal, whatever, I think the one that I would go back to eating is fish, right? Fish does have many health benefits. Now, the only thing that you do have to watch for with fish is the mercury, right? Mercury is something that you want to avoid, if possible. And there's fish, there's many fish out here, fish species that have higher levels of mercury, and so that's something that you do have to watch for. And so the thing about fish, right? Fish is a healthy source of omega-3 fatty acids, particularly EPA, DHA, and it has been shown to help to lower inflammation, right? And fish does have vitamin D in it, and there's many different nutrients in it: zinc, selenium, right? So there's health properties with fish, right? When we're talking about eating an animal, right, and we're talking about some processed meat or red meat, fish definitely ranks a lot higher than say red meat or processed meat. Those are the ones that I would avoid due to all the different health risks with those. But fish is cool. Fish is fine. But as a vegan, obviously I can't eat fish, right? But I can't lie to you. There have been times where I have thought about, where I've thought about eating, I've thought about eating fish, right? Becoming pescatarian, right? Because, fish does have, the health benefits. Now, of course, if you're going to do fish, I would just say try your best to find it, find like a source that treated the fish humanely, raised the fish humanely, you know. And so, that's the thing with fish is, you still have like, farm raised fish and everything. And, those are the ones that are not good. And so, but yeah, as a vegan, as somebody that, doesn't eat animal products, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, and I'm talking strictly from a dietary perspective. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, fish is, just all bad. And see, what you have to understand, with me, right? Me being vegan, right? Like, I don't just, practice veganism strictly for dietary reasons, right? Like, it goes beyond dietary for me, right? With me, I have spiritual reasons as to why I don't consume animal products, right? And it's just, the other thing is there's, finding sources of animal products where they're actually treated ethically. They're just, there's not a whole lot of them, and then also, with me, part of it is dietary, right? And so, and then with me personally, I'm able to get all the nutrients I need, well, the ones that I would be missing on a vegan diet through, supplements, right? And, we can have the whole debate about whether, supplementation is, supplementation is something that is equivalent to eating, getting the nutrients straight from the animals. And so, I'm just saying that's what works for me. And, I know I've said in the past, it's really not necessary to consume any animal products at all in 2025. Let me say this. Let me take that back and say that, everyone's body is different. And for some people, they just don't absorb the vitamins and, different things from a supplement as well as they do from, an animal, right? And so, in that case, if you, absolutely have to eat animal products, I would just say, just do your best to find animal products that come from like an ethical source where they actually treated the animal ethically, right? Most of the stuff in the store comes from factory farms. The fish is farm raised, and so you would definitely have to go out of your way to actually find like sources of meat that was actually, you know, ethically raised, right? Because the cheap way is factory farming, which is, ethically, it's just, there's no way I could support that. I can't support factory farming. It's just too, it just doesn't sit well with my soul. It doesn't sit well with my spirit, right? It's just wrong what they do to those animals, or they treat them so inhumanely. But I get it. I get it. Everyone's different, but of course, finding the best, ethically raised meat is best. It's interesting. Some people say that fish is not really meat. I think it is, even though I know a lot of people don't consider it actual meat. I've heard people say that chicken is not actual meat either. What do y'all think about that? I don't know. So with fish, the mercury exposure, you do have to be careful with that. When it comes to fish, you do want to, stick to fish species that are like low in mercury, right? And the ones that are traditionally low in mercury are tilapia, trout, salmon, right? Cod. Those are the ones that are lower in mercury, right? And they even say, you really, any type of fish, right, that you eat, you want to, really, don't eat too much of it, kind of limit it, right? Because, you don't want to, get too much mercury exposure, because that could be bad. And, the waters, the waters are, polluted with other toxins as well. And so that's why you do want to especially be careful, right? Because, the oceans, they're littered with, plastics and just all types of trash. I mean, I've seen, pictures of like oceans where you literally can't see the water at all. It's literally just nothing but a huge floating plastic island, just full of trash. And, it's just, man, it's just, sometimes I'm just like, humanity can be sad at times. Like, that's crazy. All that trash in the ocean. And that is not good for the fish at all, And so, now, if you're someone who is religious, Leviticus does teach that really, if you do consume fish, and then you're really only supposed to be consuming fish that have both fins and scales, right? Those are what the dietary laws state in regards to fish, right? We're really only supposed to consume fish with both fins and scales, right? So some of the more popular ones that really, I know a lot of people eat shrimp and crawfish and lobster and crab and catfish. That's a very popular one. According to the Bible, according to the scriptures, those are considered unclean animals. So if you're someone that's religious, I mean, I mean, it's up to you as to whether you want to follow it or not, but I'm just saying that's what the scriptures say. Now, of course, if you're somebody that, is not religious, or, then of course it's not going to matter to you. You're going to be like, okay, I don't care. But, if you're somebody that is, looking to, follow the, what the Bible instructs us to do in regards to diet, then, that's just, that's why I put that information out there, right? So, it says squid, octopus, yeah, those are, we're supposed to be avoiding those, if we're, if you're someone who's religious, right? But, of course, I mean, even like, and let me say this, even if you're a Christian and, you decide not to follow it, okay, but I'm only saying this for, people who really, really want to, try to follow, what the Bible says, right? And so, but, it's up to you, no judgment, if you, hey, but, anyway, but yeah, that's my stance on fish. Fish is fine. Fish is fine. And I'm saying this as a vegan, right? I don't eat fish, right? I don't eat fish, at least not at this point in my life. But if I ever was to decide to ever eat, again, if I was to ever decide to eat, an animal again, it would be a fish, right? It would be fish, because fish is probably the healthiest out of all the meats to eat. So, right, and again, it's just as long as it's ethically, raised and everything. You have to really, really, find a good source, though. But, fish is fine, right? It's not on the level of, bacon or deli meat or, sausage or hot dogs or all these other really bad, like, processed meats or red meat or something like that. All these carcinogenic meats, it's not on that level. So, anyway, I hope this answers your question, and I do thank you all for watching. I hope that you're relaxed and enjoyed the rest of your evening.